Hello everybody. I have not been on in a very long time, but I saw Casper's video response to Miss Honey Bear about the top 5 tarot decks that you can't live without, and I decided to do a video response. I thought about what it means to have a tarot deck that you cannot live without, and I really feel that actually to me it feels like a tarot deck I cannot live without is something that has a very big sentimental value to me, and so it's easy for me to pick up 5 since my collection is very small. I have about 20 decks and it's pretty easy. So um I did cheat a little by having 2 decks at number 5. Let us go right into it. So it is pretty standard for many of us to have a Rider-Waite-Smith, and so it's also on my list, but at top as number 5. This deck has sentimental value to me, not because of its readability or anything. In fact, I did not own a Rider-Waite-Smith deck, the original one, until last year, and this was gifted to me from a colleague. I mentioned to her that I read tarot cards, and she was like, wow, you did, but I do have one, but I don't read it. So I pluck up my courage to ask her for it, since she doesn't use it, and so she really did, and she gifted her deck to me on my birthday. So it comes with a note, and I I don't like the original Rider-Waite-Smith because it reminds me a lot of things that I am not. For example, a woman must have long hair. A woman must wear dress all the time. A woman must bake cookies at home all the time. So I really don't like all this, and so I don't like the original Rider-Waite-Smith deck. But I feel that I need to have one in my collection since I am a tarot reader after all, and I'm really happy that my friend gifted me this so that I won't feel the urge to really throw this deck out very quickly. And also I use this deck for reading with people because of the simplicity of the deck. I find it easier to discount any biases of mine to get into the situation with clients. Yep. And the fact that I don't like it from the start makes it easier to deal with things a bit more rationally. So number 5, also tied with the Rider-Waite-Smith, is my first tarot deck. If you all have looked at my videos previously, you will have seen this deck. Although I said that I wanted to sell this deck, I decided to keep it first because of the sentimental value, and it is recently that I realized that despite this deck being a thinking type kind of deck, it's also not someone who will be irritated at me for reasons that I cannot know myself. Okay, so the thing about this deck is that it's done by different artists, and I believe it's out of print because it's like a commemoration of their 20th anniversary. These are from artists in China, I believe, And so you can see that this is a major, and the chords. Um, this is my first tarot deck, and you can see why I really don't like the Rider-Waite-Smith, because I actually started with a peep deck, and a peep deck and a creative art kind of deck. It's not very because it's the first deck I own also. I learned everything from the little white book that comes with this deck, and because the meaning of the peeps were tied to the original Rider-Waite-Smith, so sometimes when I look at, for example, Seven of Pentacles, I will look at the meaning in the little white book, and I will be thinking, why does it mean the way it is? And so that's why I would want a Rider-Waite-Smith deck for myself to as a reference purpose. The deck itself is sweet in a sense, I guess, because of the colors used. It's very saturated, and it's a mix of digital and traditional artists. This is one of my favorite cards in the deck, the Queen of Swords. Okay, so I will now go to number 4. Starting from here onwards, it will be decks that are, I guess, sentimental in the way that it was difficult to find, or difficult to find for me. Okay, so number 4 will be a deck I would consider to be a very like a biscuit, coffee kind of cream, desserts kind of deck. Is the Corte. I actually think I thought a very long time before committing to buying this deck. First, because of the price, and considering that I was introduced to tarot by through the Italian style of tarot, and I was pretty creeped out by it. I haven't been able to touch a Italian style tarot for a very long time until I saw this deck. I made the decision to purchase this deck after, you know, many people, and I believe even the originator of this deck herself, Miss Kelly Bear, I think she did mention this deck before, because I think I was sold over by the way she describe each deck. For example, the dancing death. There's something very innocent about the pictures, like big eyes, very cute facial structure. But the thing about this deck is because it's so expensive, I don't dare, it pains my heart to shuffle it. And it's pretty difficult to shuffle as well because of the thick paper and the sharp edges. Yeah. But why is this my top 5 deck? One is because I took such a long time to come to a decision to buying it. I haven't regret that decision. The other one is this deck that let me love the traditional peep style decks once again. Yeah. Okay. So 4. So now is 3. Okay. Hold on. Let me stretch out. Okay. So Stella's Tarot is number 3. Why is this deck why does this deck have such a big sentimental value for me? First is because when I was touring in Japan and I went to a Tokyo Hands outlet, it was actually my first time seeing tarot decks in Tokyo Hands, and in Singapore I don't have it. I don't see them displayed out, and this deck immediately caught my attention. I remember that it's a very difficult deck to find, and so I immediately asked the shop assistants to help me get the deck out of the display case, and it was the last deck. I couldn't connect with this deck at first because I deem it very cold. Even now it's cold, but I have a better understanding of why it is cold. The people here looks like they are extraterrestrials trying to fit into being human by doing all these human poses. And someone on Instagram told me that I can see it as how we as human try to fit into society, and how can we like not feel so embarrassed about it. And so I start to like this deck a bit more and find it a good read when I'm feeling a bit in need of some distance from my problems. What I really like most is the texture background, like the texture way the depictions are done. For example, like I believe these are all traditional mediums, so you can feel like this wall is something that's very rough, and the dress is some chiffon material. So it wasn't very cheap, but I decided to splurge on it since it's a Japan trip after all. And it wasn't the best cut stock, so I got a backup copy with Casper. Yep. This will tell you how much I like this deck now, since the copy is not cheap, so the how do you say it? If I am willing to spend a huge amount of money on the second copy, it must have mean a lot to me. So number 2 will be this deck, the Vertigo Tarot, illustrated by Dave McKean of the Sandman fame. So I fell in love with Dave McKean's art in the Sandman Chronicles written by Neil Gaiman. I love the darkness and the surreal quality of his art, and like in Black Orchid, his a graphic novel that he illustrated entirely, I was very impressed by the texture and the expression he uses in his art. So I spent a very long time finding this deck since it's out of print, and I finally found one on the local second-hand online market, and it was cheaper than I would have spent on. It's about $60, and so I decided to go for it. the book itself, the font is very small. I can't even read it, but I thought that it will be a difficult deck to read. The cardstock is not very good. It's very flimsy. I thought that it will be a difficult deck to read. Okay, it's upside down. Let me. Okay. But I actually find it very very easy to read. Probably because this deck feels very much like the limbo state in between our, when we close our eyes and sleep, and the state between when we close our eyes to when the REM, the rapid eye movement starts to happen. This is the darkness during that stage, and where all the weird things can come and you can view them without any prejudice. So what I love about this is that there's no perceived like a gender role kind of things. There's no perceived gender role kind of things as in the Rider-Waite-Smith. And I like all the texture. And since it was so difficult for me to find. I have been looking for it like since 10 years ago, I guess. It holds a very big place in my heart now that I've got it. And the top deck that I cannot live with is actually what I consider to be my soul deck. And for that I have brought a backup copy. This is actually the backup copy because the original copy is too large. You will have known this as the Thoth Tarot, the Thoth deck. I first got the large size, and the moment I got it, I feel as if I'm going into a temple. And Thoth deck is my soul deck because it answers of my questions without it is very honest in its answers, but it is not someone who will be very not a very good person about it. In fact, it feels like it's giving me a hug while telling me the truth. So I decided to buy a smaller backup deck to work with people. So this is actually my people's deck as well. And because it's smaller, I feel that this smaller deck has more of a hot chocolate kind of feel, where I sit with a reader, a client or someone, a querent, and I'm drinking hot coffee together with them. So I love the Thoth because the artwork feels very scientific, but it is not. It feels very scientific and very timeless, but it's not very cold to me. In fact, the colors. Every time I lay this card out for people, they'll say, "Wow, the colors are so beautiful," and I really agree with them. I'm not very learned in the Thoth Tarot. I read it as if I'm admiring a piece of art, which is true because all of these are pieces of art. And every time I feel like I need a hug, this will be the first deck in my mind. Yeah. So decide it. Thank you so much.